that looks across to Kangaroo Point. If you're new to this channel, I'm Jason Hawkins and I'm an avid outdoor plein air painter, and I get out and about in Brisbane and southeast Queensland and beyond, trying to capture those moments in oil paint. I'd love you to like and subscribe to my channel. It would really help me grow my audience. Or a very young channel, so I look forward to seeing you in future videos, and I hope you like this content. If you want to know more or ask questions about my process, don't hesitate to comment in the comments below. Capturing this work in about 3 hours in oils in plein air is a real challenge. I'm not going to lie, I love the challenge, but I spend a fair bit of time, you see this in the time lapse, I spend a fair bit of time getting the perspective right and the architectural lines and the feel of the actual piece first. I think that's important. I like to spend a bit of time there because that's where my sort of architecture, structural mind sits. So I really do focus on that at the start, but then quickly move into capturing light and trying to chase a bit of that light. You'll see, and I'll talk you through some of that process in the time lapse. It was really interesting turning up to this location because I was hoping that there would be some really nice light on these sandstone blocks. However, unfortunately, there's a huge high-rise now right next to a customer's house that actually really blocks the view. Actually blocks the sunlight, doesn't block the view. This is a very busy street, albeit we were there early on Sunday morning, so there wasn't a huge amount of office traffic, but there was lots of people getting picked up and dropped off in Ubers and all sorts of stuff. Anyway, this is fairly high speed. I think it's sped up like 4 or 6 times. So yeah, I'll just quickly take you through my thought processes. So I haven't really dived straight in to put the darks in like you would in a landscape scene. Yeah, I'd really try and capture the perspective, get the perspective, and I think I actually got this perspective better in the sketch-in phase, if you like, the line drawing phase, than I did at the end of the painting. There was things that just how some of the brushwork sort of interfered with some of those perspective lines towards the end that actually did my head in a little bit. But that's plein air. That's the joy of the challenge of getting out there and getting into the work. So you can see here, my brushwork follows the contours of the building. I'm really trying, like you would follow the contours of the land if you were painting outdoors in that sort of landscape. I use the same methodology when painting elements of the building and the structural elements of the shapes. So I follow the line of the shapes and the contours of the building. I'm not really going to always, the lines are reference. I'm not using those really as darks, although now I've oversaturated the sky, not on purpose, just probably just a little bit over enthusiastic with, it's actually tended to be a grey day. So I do come back in and actually redo the sky. I use liquid in that first block in of the sky, which enables me to really go in, an hour and a half, 2 hours after the start of the piece, and it is absolutely dry. So I can actually go in and redo that. Is a bit from the other angle. You can see Gary Doolan in the background there. He's painting his scene from under the awning there. And I'm also with Paul Drought is in front of me in the scene. So you can see I've backwards and forwards. I do like stepping back from the scene. There's Paul there, getting stuck into it. So I'm really addressing darks now, just quickly, some of those bushes in the front, right? Remembering I like to capture an impression. I'm not looking for realist. I'm really trying to immerse the viewer into the scene, capturing an emotional connection to the architecture and the piece. So you can see I use these tools the Bunnings scrapers as line assistance tools, and it's hugely helpful in these type of scenes to get straight lines. I am still probably a little bit too obsessed with getting straight lines plein air, but that's just me. So I'm diving in here, getting that beigey warmth of the stonework in place. I've got sort of 3 or 4 different variations of that. Some the lighter blues for the cools in the shadow spaces, the cool grey variation versus a more warmth of the pylons and the other shapes. The dome, I love that dome. It's got this kind of magenta-ish vibe to it, but with this shimmering light on those curved rustic structures as well. I'm not too. I don't want to get too obsessed. Again, we're only really here for 3 hours, so we don't have time to capture detail. I'm really minimising that detail and really focusing on what matters. Trying to focus on what matters. The river, you can see the river in the background there, just peeking through next to the staircase that rolls around that front side. There's actually a driveway that wraps around there that goes down to like a little restaurant that overlooks the river. It's a beautiful little spot. In the old days, ships would pull up to this building and then check in. It's customs check in into Brisbane City. We're a long way up the river, probably maybe 10 or 15 k's in from the bay to this point. So it would have been a pretty interesting time back in the day for ships to make it all the way up to the river. So you can see my little variation colours. This is kind of light, a greeny, cool greens in the window. There's some tinting, window tinting, and light reflections in those windows that I'll eventually do the line work over the top to give that some structure as well. I love this sort of balustrading around the top with the classic. So I'm just getting a hint of sky holes through there, as well as structural elements of the little posts and highlights, just to capture the eye into that stonework at the top. And I'm using the palm tree that's there on the right also to keep the eye inside the composition. I was a little bit disappointed with how the light. I was really hoping for a much more light soaked building in this case. But we're just not going to get it at this time of year. The sun is just not in the right spot. So yeah, we might come around to that. There's some of those backpackers that are turning up and checking in and out. I had them only a few like a metre from me at one stage, a whole bunch of them. So yeah, doing this beautiful big Moreton Bay fig that's drenching that corner of the building as well. That's some iconic trees that are also still keep that streetscape in play. You can see I do talk to the punters and have some really nice interactions with people walking past, and I hand out some business cards and try to get people to follow me on various socials. We've also got a show coming up, which will feature this piece up in Lethbridge Gallery, the Paddington Art Space, up in Given Terrace in October 20th to the 26th. Paul Drought and I are having a about town plein air in Brisbane show. So I'd love to see you all there. So yeah, now you can see here. Now I think some of the perspective falls out here, but this is a chance now for me to lay in the darks to give the whole piece a little bit more structure. Unfortunately, I've got a bit of sunlight sort of doing a bit of reflection here, but I'll show you the piece close up once we're finished. But this is where we can really bring the detail into play. It brings the piece to life, I think, for me, putting the dark highlights, but dark structural lines in place around the building. You get a sense of the building there now in a little bit of light and full sun there, which is a bit hard to paint in. I don't like the sun being on the panel like that. So yeah, finishing off fences and more impression of that interactive piece. And we're getting, yeah, I'll cut across to the finished piece and you can see that in action. But